Hi learners, this is topic 3 of unit 3 and the topic will familiarize you with the next important step of the research process, that is data collection. The topic will be dealt with in 3 videos. The topic highlights the type of data and will have a detailed discussion of the different methods of data collection, that are primary data collection methods and secondary data collection methods. Data is the backbone of every research. Research findings are always based on the data collected by the researcher. If the data collected by the researcher is not reliable and valid, then the final results and recommendations will also not be reliable and valid. In this situation, the research will be considered as a useless activity. Therefore, it is pertinent for the researcher to understand the various forms of data on one side and the methods of data collection on the other side. In the present topic, we will focus on various methods of data collection such as interviews, observations, questionnaires, etc. Let's first talk about the concept of data collection. The quality of data has great bearing on the reliability and validity of research, and a researcher should not collect the data without proper planning. The collection of data is a very systematic process which involves various stages about which a researcher should be well aware. The process of collection of data for the research purpose is known as data collection. As per SMR market research, data collection is the gathering of information in the form of figures, words, or responses that describe some situation from which a conclusion can be drawn. Let's now know about the types of data. As already discussed in the previous video, there are 2 types of data: the primary data and the secondary data. Primary data is the data collected by the researcher for the first time for a particular research, and this is referred to as primary data. There is no prior existence of this data. Data is directly collected by the researcher from the respondents. It requires more time and money to collect the primary data. Talking about the secondary data. Secondary data refers to the data which was collected in the past but is used in the present research. An example of secondary data is the data collected and published by various government departments and used by the researchers or research agencies for their own research purpose. Let's now discuss the methods of primary data collection. There are various methods of primary data collection as shown in the figure. These are observational method, interview method, questionnaire method, sociometric method, and the focus group method. We will be dealing with the first method in this video. Let's begin with the first method, that is the observational method. In observational method of data collection, the population of interest is observed by the researcher to find out the interesting facts or data. It is a very scientific method in which special skills are required on the part of the researcher. The way we observe the things in daily life is different from the way a researcher observes. A researcher does not only observe how the things are happening, but also tries to find out why the things are happening. For example, in a mall, a researcher observes the customers who buy and who do not buy. In this case, he will also try to find out why and how some people are buying and why some people are not buying. There are various types of observational methods. Let's now discuss these methods. The first is the natural method. It is a method in which the researcher observes the people without any intervention or bothering them. For example, observing cars on the road. The next is the contrived method. It is an indirect method of observation where the researcher plays some predetermined roles. For example, a researcher visits a bank as a customer and observes how bank employees treat their customers. The next is the direct method. In this method, the researcher has to wait for a particular incident or a behavior to happen. For example, a researcher wants to observe a customer's behavior while he buys a car. He has to wait for the customer and will observe the process of buying. Further, he has to wait for the other customers, as one customer will not serve the purpose. The next is the indirect method. Here, a researcher relies on the reported observations by the others. The next is the structured method. It is the method in which a researcher knows what is to be observed. For example, in a mall, a researcher wants to observe the sale of a particular product. He will observe the sale of that product only. The next is the unstructured method. Here, the researcher does not exactly know what is to be observed. It is unsystematic and unplanned observation. There are no rules to follow for the observer. The next is the mechanical method. When the researcher uses some devices to observe people's responses, it is referred to as the mechanical method. For example, use of CCTV cameras for recording of movement of customers. Let's now discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the observational method. The advantages are: it provides accurate and natural data. There is no biasness, and it helps in collecting relevant data. The disadvantages are: it is difficult to evaluate the past data, and it is sometimes difficult to judge the accurate attitude of the respondents. So learners, in this video you learned about the observational method. Thank you.